Okay, I'd like to call the City of Geneva Industrial Development Agency meeting of May 6th to order. We have the minutes from our last meeting in April. Are there any, I'd like a motion to approve those minutes. RJ?
Second.
Irene, second. Any conversation or any questions or corrections?
I have a quick question. So with regards to the, again, this being just a few meetings and
Sure.
we talk about Robert rules and we understand that usually that's an aye or a nay, right? When the motion was made for the vote for the Trinity project, it was made in the form of a roll call. So when we started the process of going around, I personally made the misinterpretation as people were saying aye instead of yay, that this was more of an attendance roll call rather than a roll call vote. So I made the wrong interpretation there, and I would not have voted positively for
Okay.
that
Change your
vote. So just wanted to make that clear.
So can we change that in the minutes then? That the roll call vote that we did, Jason voted no. Any other changes, discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. All right, thank you, Ben. All right, the financial report, Tracy, you have that?
The financials for April 29th are packaged. We did receive rent from Downtown Winery and American Tower lease, as that is still going. There's a $6,000 deposit made towards the HVAC repairs, or the HVAC replacement here at the GBC facility. And, you know, just as an update to that, but the pricing went up a little bit, but we also noticed that there was sales tax included in the quote originally. So taking that out put us just about back where we started. So we should make out pretty well there. But that's what the $6,000 GBC support is. That's about all that was in the financials for April.
Question on the financials. When I read the financials, we have a beginning bank balance. We obviously get down to our net income or loss, and then there's an ending bank balance. How is that calculated?
So
Is there anything, I guess my question is there anything in here, if in a normal scenario, I would take the beginning balance, add or subtract the net income or loss, and I would have the ending balance, right? But they're not equitable. So what is missing in there?
sometimes it's just a timing of when like a check might clear, you know,
Okay.
so we are accounting on an accrual basis.
Okay,
So we might write a check in 1 month and it might not clear until the next.
understood. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, motion to approve.
I'll move.
Lowell, second,
Second.
RJ. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Ben. All right, Geneva School District will, we have, I see on here, which it still says Randy as the representative from, so we should change that, obviously. But since I'm not here, we'll just pass that.
Who's the new
GDC.
representative that changed?
It's,
Sorry, I wasn't aware.
Yeah,
yeah, last month it switched over to.
it's on the minutes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I missed that.
On one of the. I
No
forgot her name
worries.
too.
Sorry. Moving on. Moving on.
It is.
We'll get it.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get it correct on for the next meeting. Okay, GDC, Craig did give us reports that were fairly complete. Obviously, it shows very little changes in the tenant activity. Tracy, why don't you?
Miles, is that you on the phone?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
All right, Miles.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so Miles Webster, I'm Craig's brother. You'll probably be hearing more from me going forward. In terms of tenant activity, Yeah, we actually have a couple of good showings coming up here with some larger groups, one being the ARC of Ontario County and another private partnership that they're forming with someone else. And then I believe we had a very brief conversation about it, but like some sort of either recording studio or technology recording studio that has not been added to this report, as that just came in at the end of this week, and we have a meeting next week. And we've been fairly successful with a couple of renewals that have come up with Banner Door. Another one we're working on with a transition from the existing tenant of Canna Studios into another gentleman who has a woodworking shop or type business that's going to be taking over that space from him. So that should be a smooth transition there. And then beyond that, a couple other notes. So we had a good walkthrough with Joe Venuti from the DPW, myself, and a representative from Real Eats as they're exiting out of their space and getting that ready for the next tenant that we have in line. So we actually solved that one sewer problem that you've been talking about in this meeting for a while. That was a miracle that happened one day after some hard work. So we got that freed up, and they're pretty much out of their space. And now they have some work to do to prep it, to put it back into, move-in condition when they took it over. And we're going through that with them right now. And beyond that, if you have any questions.
Hey, Miles, this is Ann. We haven't heard anything from Princeton Logic since Monday. You say that they have not signed the lease extension as of.
No,
this
not that I
week,
know of.
but
I know that.
Have we
I know that
verified
my
that they
brother
found a
reached
space
out.
in Farmington? I mean, that was kind of the hearsay on that, but
Yeah.
there's still quite a bit of community concern about this, them moving out and stuff. And Tracy and I have been managing it by responding to the letters with what we know, but we're kind of at a lack. Without knowing
absolutely.
exactly what they're doing, if they in fact found the space, or if they still feel we're kicking them out, even though the lease is coming to an end. And we did extend it 3 months to give them a little bit more time, giving them 6 months to move essentially. But have you had any conversations with Jeff or his team?
Yeah, no, my brother has been having those conversations. He has not gotten word back yet. So we're still in that hearsay status. Nothing to document or verify, but hopefully that'll come shortly. He's left a couple messages where they played phone tag.
All right, would you ask Craig to get back to us with an update, or some sort of
absolutely.
just so it can be done in email, just so you kind of know what's going on. So as we get these questions, we at least have current information to respond to them. All right,
Absolutely.
that'd be great. Anything else? I guess today we'll have a self-guided tour of the facility.
Yeah,
Is that
I know.
our plan?
I told Tracy,
Okay.
and I apologize.
That's great.
I'm kind of dealing with something I didn't think it was appropriate. We kind of both agreed that me in person and
That's understandable.
affecting people would not be a good idea. And I
Any other questions?
missed because I
while
wanted
we
to
have
meet all
Miles?
in person. I met some of them. I'm sorry.
Any other questions? We might have some questions next meeting once we get through the facility. Most of the people here haven't been through here yet. So it'd be good to have this reference. So we appreciate
Yep,
you.
absolutely.
letting us
I
be here
could be on a
today
phone
and
call
then,
if you want. I could be on
Okay.
a phone call if
All right.
you want as well, so feel free to call.
we're having some problems here. Okay, we all set? All right. Let's move on to the city council reports, and Tracy, you got something from the mayor?
Yep, so the mayor sent some updates. He wasn't able to make it today. On the city manager search, it's been narrowed down to finalists and in-person interviews were conducted. The current status is that deliberations and negotiations are happening with top candidates, and they're hoping to have an appointment on the June 1st council agenda. DRI construction continues, but there have been some minor delays due to material availability. The Castle Street major work is complete and finishing touches remain on that piece. The 5 and 20 road, it says diet, does that make sense?
Restriction.
Okay, 5 and 20 road diet is under construction. There's been some complaints fielded for various reasons, but some of that input has been constructive and taken into consideration. The city is looking to develop a committee to have events to celebrate the 125th anniversary of the city, and those are targeted for January 2023. The comptroller position is receiving positive applicant responses from several qualified candidates. And the city has been responding to an issue or report issued for inappropriate screensaver activity at the GPD facility. An investigation was opened April 21st, the morning after they were notified of the issue, and is ongoing. And the mayor wanted to express to the IDA that he appreciates the dialogue and information is being provided about pretzel logic, and that they're being included in those conversations.
Maybe we could have Lowell speak to the city manager. He's our representative on that committee.
Thanks for pointing me to that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I knew what you're into.
There's a lot of time. And
Yeah.
there are 15 applicants. And because I had to go away on vacation, I spent an 8-hour day in Sage's old office and I read every one. And that was good because I could close the door and focus. I just had my phone. There were some things that we looked at that they advised us to prioritize certain things. And the first thing was education and the recommendation that we get bachelor's and then a master's degree in management of municipalities. But it's called different names. My sister actually got one, so I know about it. She went at Holy Cross. But anyway, it's good to have that master's degree. So when I saw certain colleges that didn't make sense, I checked out. And one or two had for-profit colleges that sort of bothered me, so I sent to you. Because the for-profit colleges, if you commit, you apply, but you put your money down, you're in. And the graduation rate of that particular college was 13%. So it's kind of bothered me. But anyway, those are the kinds of things I looked at. And then they allowed us to listen to the actual interviews, which were like an hour and a half. 3 applicants really shone through as the best applicants. I think I can speak to where they're from, but one was from Pennsylvania, another was from Tompkins County, another one was from Canandaigua. So we had some thought process about getting someone from out of town that would bring their experience to us, which I thought was pretty important. Each of the 3 that we shortlisted were excellent, but I think it was 3 nights of interviews, and then three other periods of time where we were able to sit with them and ask questions. So it was pretty neat, very thorough. And of the 3, any of the 3 that would be selected would be fine with me. So that's a good feeling. I preferred one over the other 2, but I doubt that my preferences are going to be followed. So anyway, a lot of time, quite a bit of research, and we couldn't really discuss it beyond what I just did because we were asked not to. My wife heard some things about it, but she swore to be quiet.
That's great. Well, thanks, Lowell, for representing us and taking it serious. Your efforts are appreciated, and we look forward to the new administration when it happens. I shuffled, okay. All right, Tracy, IDA projects.
Yes, so a host of updates. FLX Hospitality is still negotiating the lease with the city, but the plan is still that they'll move into the kitchen space. It sounds like really it's just mostly out of the space at this point, so it's just kind of the cleanup phase at this juncture. And I did reach out to them to see if any other support was needed for the project. We may see a request come from them for the next meeting for some sort of support. The IDA cannot offer grants, but they can say buy a piece of equipment and sell it for $1. So we're looking at what those opportunities and needs might be to support them as the IDA has supported other tenants moving into the building.
Which suite is that they're going to go
That would
into?
be in the kitchen.
Kitchen.
Now, that's something I needed clarification on. I thought that we participate in that. We rent the space to the city where the kitchen is, which you'll hopefully see in a few minutes here.
Okay.
And then the city made the leasehold improvements on it and then subleases that to, it was actually originally designed to be a kitchen by the hour type of thing where someone could come in and use the kitchen for the afternoon.
Is that who
or
Kitchen is?
Yes.
Kitchen?
Okay.
Yeah, kitchen. Yeah.
Right, I understand. So right now we get, with the current lease prior to them was 33 cents per square foot. So in the negotiations of that space, are we looking at price per square foot or?
We are not negotiating that.
It's the
Right.
Geneva has the lease. The city of Geneva, has-
Understood.
their lease is still ongoing. The city's lease is still ongoing.
Okay.
That's not up for renewal at this point. It was confusing to me, a little bit. I mean, going back when this thing happened about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whenever that build out was made, when Real Leads came in and took the whole space within a few months of it opening. It just kind of, they looked at it and they said, well, we can use the space 100% of the time.
Sure.
And they started working not just days, but nights and all sorts of things there. So
Okay.
fortunately, the city does have someone else looking at the space. It's FLX Kitchens, and they will, take it over, I guess, in full again, right? But again, it's actually not part of our decision, or we don't have any authority over it since we are renting the space. And the city made the leasehold improvements.
Thank you. Okay.
So the city pays the IDA, the negotiated rate in the lease, and then they negotiate the sublease or the sublease tenants. That gives them the flexibility to say, we want to subsidize this project and charge them less rent, and the city will cover some of it, or, whatever the case may be. If someone grows, they can negotiate that, but that doesn't affect what lease.
Understood.
And in this case, Jason, you can see that Real Leads has a space. They're also on that list.
Yep.
It's not the kitchen itself. It's the space outside the kitchen that they use for storage. So that's why it wasn't part of the lease with the city. It's part of the lease with us. So the only thing that, and it's mostly, when I was there, it was mostly boxes, cardboard and things like that.
I mean, they have one of the larger spaces. The third largest one, it's 20,000 square feet. So
Yeah,
they
you'll
take up a
see
lot.
it's one of the nicest spaces. They wanted us to move Banner Door out, which has the space on the end of this wing over here. And, but Banner Door had to lease and there wasn't a way to accommodate. And that kind of precipitated some of the need for them to move up the hill from here. All right, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
So Trinity we likely won't close with them until the fall when the construction financing is finalized. And so I'm trying to keep those lines of communication open in the meantime so that our legal team can be involved early enough that it's not a mad rush at the end. So that's just a little bit in the waiting period, just kind of communicating back and forth. American Tower, still happening. Haven't seen a check yet. They're still paying their rent. But I don't think there's a problem. I think it's just going through the processes over there and for whatever reason is not going quickly. Gateway, I would like to have a conversation in executive session towards the end of the meeting about, I have a couple of updates there regarding the proposed sale of the property. We did have a conversation, or Michael from our team and I had a conversation with the county economic development team because the Hinkle Zotos pilot is ending this year, and we're, the county is working with them to find out if they have additional needs at this point or if the expiration will just go forward. But we haven't heard anything back on that.
The expiration date on that was 5/1 of this year. On this.
It expired with the county and town, as I recall. But that property has been filed for a very long time. There's been
Right.
multiple renditions of it. So, unless we hear anything else from them, get an application. The county is interested in having that come to the Geneva IDA at this point, since it is in the city. So unless we hear anything, that's just gonna go forward, they're gonna do their thing.
Right. And there was another one, Geneva LLC. Is that in this year as well?
So Geneva Land and Geneva Shopping Center are both expiring as well.
Okay.
Either with this tax payment or the next one. So I don't, I'm glad you brought it up because there's been a lot going on with Geneva, the Geneva Land. So there's two pilots here with the same owner related to the same kind of project. One is what I'm referring to as Geneva Land, which is the gas kiosks for the tops that actually the Cox facility, which I think now is a Dollar General, if there's people's involved at some point. So it was a retail project that was done roughly 10 to 15 years ago. And, there's been some changes there, but that's all about the gas kiosks, which working with the city over the last couple of months, we were able to address, and that was brought up to date in terms of pilot payments. So both of those pilots are in good shape at this point and are paid to date as far as I'm aware. So that's a good thing. And so that I'll get to this later, but that means I need to make a little bit of a change in the Paris reporting that I provided to you for review. So, but that's been an ongoing conversation and it's resolved now. So check.
Yay.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, Tracy, on the reports that she just gave us? Okay, let's move on to new business. We have the 2021 audit review. I'd like to welcome Michael from Metzger and Bar, sorry. Michael, my company's been with the accounting firm for probably 35 years, going back.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah, Gordy Schuler handles our account, has
Okay.
probably 15 years. So welcome to the Geneva IDA. Where are we at sit with the audit? We see we're ready to motion to approve.
Yeah, so I do just want to first start off by saying I had two relatively big, from my standpoint, changes from the draft that was included in the packet. Doesn't change any of the numbers or the financial statements, but actually the opinion page. The first page of the opinion, we had a mix up on our end. I apologize for that. So some of the terminology there has changed on the opinion. And then in the back schedule, we actually pulled out the findings that were in the back opinion and made a separate schedule of findings and responses. So I just wanted to say that up front. So it didn't change the numbers or the financial statements that you received, but as far as the audit opinion, those were pretty big changes in my eyes, and I'm not quite sure how the opinion page wasn't the correct one in the draft I sent, so I apologize for that. But that being said, I hope you've all had an opportunity to go through the financial statements.
What is the opinion?
It is a disclaimer of opinion, as it has been for the last 2 years. There's a little bit of documentation that we were unable to examine that we had requested to verify a few things. And then a big piece of that piece of the opinion was from the EDC. The period of time of the transition in the management company, those numbers weren't included in the reports that were on the that were included in the reports that the board was getting over the course of the year, that October time period between the change in the management companies. So
Do you feel satisfied with the way it's set up now going forward?
I do.
For the next year?
I do. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think moving forward, I think all three of the included entities in the financial statements, I think the board's getting complete financial information on a monthly basis.
Okay, great.
And
Good.
working with the two companies that you're working with, yeah, I don't have any reason to think that you're not getting complete information now. And I went over to Webster Properties and looked at some information, and I've requested some information from Tracy and looked at that. So I think moving forward into this 2022 year, I think the IDA should be pretty set.
All right, great. Good to hear.
So-
Irene, do you have any comment?
I
No.
don't.
So that being said, I did send the draft. We did just send out we have to send a letter to the attorney of the IDA, and we just requested that and sent that out this week. As soon as we get that back and then update the management's responses to those items, we'll be ready to finalize the report and get that submitted to the state so that they'll be happy and you folks can keep it on with your business.
It's good. Any questions?
When is the audit actually due to the state?
What's that?
When is the audit actually due to the state?
January.
So we're
Yeah,
behind
or
again
later.
this year.
Yeah, we're within a final 60-day period right now. We have about a month left.
And there's been no issues with the state or anything. They know that.
A little bit,
Oh,
a little bit. It's still, I mean, there's a little pushback. We gotta make sure that we get on board. That's where this coming year, we're hoping that this would be the year, but let's hope that this coming year is gonna be the one. That
Yeah,
we're gonna
and-
get it in there on time and, yeah.
Yeah, and I would
That's
anticipate
good to hear.
really, based on the information that I think that we'll be able to get from the IDA and your entities. If year end is September 30th, I don't see any reason why we can't have the audit wrapped up in November, December. Looking forward,
That's correct. All right, terrific.
thanks.
So, motion to approve the audit report that we'll be sending, audit review.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussions? All right. The votes, to motion to approve the 2021 audit. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. So passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you, Michael, and thank you for attending the meeting, and we look forward to the next steps here. Thank you.
yeah, thank you for your time, and I look forward to getting out
Okay,
there
regarding
sometime.
the Paris,
I was hoping to see the tour.
all right, thank you. We
All right.
appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right. So the Paris reporting, there were some things that we, again, not just the audit, but some record keeping things. The upkeep of our website was not being current. Now we're looking, the city is looking, we're looking to try to improve that and have a person that would update the website in a timely fashion. And it was just minor things that some of the minutes weren't posted but it's things that's what that order Paris is, that's what the state is reviews to make sure that we're up to speed. So once you've
Yep.
kind of,
So there's still some things that are missing from the website, but we'll work on them. There's a couple of policies actually that we need to get into place and to get them on the website. So over the next couple of months, you'll see those coming your way. But otherwise, we're doing the best we can on the website. The Paris reporting is in your package. There's a few different reports in there. The key ones are the annual report, which outlines the board members, the projects, all of the policies, those types of things, as well as the financials. In that report, there's a few updates that need to be made. Obviously, I need to include the financial information from the audit within that document, which I will pull directly from the audit paperwork. I had to update the pilot payment due for agreement for the Geneva land pilot because we fixed that. And then I also received a report after I printed this copy of the report from DCMB, the Dove Cove, is that what C stands for? The arts building for the furniture gallery that you did last year. I received their report, so I had to update the sales tax figure and the job figure on that report, and they realized a little over $57,000 in sales tax exemption. They have not created any of the jobs yet, but they did have 8 construction jobs. One thing to keep in mind is all these reports are through September 30th. So generally speaking, everything in there is based on last year. The other documents in there are the accomplishments, the operations and accomplishments report, and the measurement report, which is to show how we're doing on our mission statement and our goals. So that was there for your review as well. It looks a little different than it has in the past, but I hope that's okay. I like to make things pretty.
yeah. Well, I think we're in a better situation now. I mean, we've had a number of transitions, not just from this property with new property management, but new accounting firm and then new executive director. We've got 2 or 3 things that are kind of converging here. So it sounds like we're getting it back on track. Anything that has fallen through the cracks are now being picked up. So that's great. That's great. Any questions? You want a motion to approve the Paris documents? All right. Again, motion.
So moved.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Second,
Second.
Irene. A motion to approve the Paris documents and close the Paris reporting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, we had a marketing committee meeting a week ago, 10 days ago, something like that.
It's a good meeting.
Yeah, that was a joint meeting with primarily just LDC. I think in the future we'll get the BID involved. But we talked about a number of things that we're going to be doing in the future. We came up with and very nicely, Lowell had prepared the statement a few months back, right before the first of the year.
Yeah.
And we introduced this as kind of some goals, preliminary goals for the IDA. Quite a few of them are very good. I think Tracy included that in the packet. So that we kind of folded that into the meeting, and we ended up with a statement that we felt we wanted to at least discuss. So Tracy, why don't you take that away, just a position statement that not just the Lowell did, but also the letter that we'd like to send to the city council.
Yes, so one theme that kept coming up when we were talking about doing marketing work is that there really needs to be someone to maintain that marketing work. If you make a video, there's got to be someone to push it out, and make a website, someone's got to update it. So the group really thought that it was important to advocate for a dedicated economic development position, not a planning and economic development position, but a dedicated economic development position. So this position statement, which I included with the packet, really just is a statement to city council to say that this is important, why it's important, and to encourage them to include that position in the next budget, but also fill that position. to support the efforts of economic development in the city. The LDC did approve this at their meeting on Wednesday. And it was sent to the bid director and board chair, so we're waiting to hear from them as to whether or not they're going to sign on. So I actually have two versions of it, one with the bid and one without it. So, and I'll have you sign both just in case. And if it is approved by this board, I do have a signature sheet that I'll pass around for those folks who are here. But the idea is to kind of show this advocacy to city council heading into the budget season for 2022, 2023. And then there are other things we can do to get this message across. And at the LDC meeting, we talked about, if you know a counselor, sit down, have coffee with them, talk to them about why this is important, show up to the budget meetings, talk about this at the budget meetings, maybe at some point when the time is right, doing some sort of an op-ed or a letter to the paper. So there are other things that we can do as time goes on to get this message out.
Has this been discussed with Steve, the mayor?
It has not been, because
Okay.
he was also not at the LDC meeting, so I think he's perhaps seen it in the materials, but I don't think that anyone's discussed.
And we
it.
decided to have everyone sign it, not just the 3 chairs. Is that?
I do, yeah. I'm getting as many signatures as I can.
Okay. Yeah, again, the thought is there's power in numbers. If we can, as three economic development groups with their own kind of goals, if we can kind of target and say how important that is to our work of economic development, that the city might take it. I mean, there's discussion of it. It's not a new idea. But I think we can help push it along. There's a couple other initiatives that we discussed that we could also present to the city council. There's some issues with the zoning that we might want to address. Not issues, just some concerns that we have with our focus on economic development that maybe, now I know the LDC did this last summer with a pretty extensive letter to the city council. And we thought again that maybe we'd take another approach to it with all the 3 groups, saying that that's one thing. But this economic development person, I think would be helpful to us. And it would be, again, having, I think what the discussion during the meeting is to have someone who could actually take the call, would be the contact person that could in fact be very proactive in following up on leads and also proactive in searching for new leads, sending out some of the information that we might develop. So there might be some monies that we have to put forth to help, maybe with the production, some of the materials that would be used. But I think at this point, we're asking the city to put it in the budget to pay for this person's position. Anything else, Tracy? Okay, so it's work in process. As Lowell said, it was a good meeting, a lot of voices. It's kind of good to get the other groups because we kind of end up talking about our stuff and kind of in this group, and it's kind of, and I know they have LDC, we found kind of a different voice when we started talking about the Gateway project that we own jointly. It was kind of it was interesting to see what their point of view was, because I guess you kind of assume that we all have the same focus, and there's some different concerns that are very that are voiced in that group. And so it's nice to hear these. And so I look forward to further group meetings like this to kind of do concerted efforts to move forward. So we've had a chance to read this. Do you want to put this into record, or do you just want to read it, or do you want to
It's up to you.
just you could just put it in the notes? So we want a motion to approve this actually essentially the letter that we agree with the concepts put forward in the letter to have that position. I'm not know if I'm stating this motion correctly, but
Permission to approve the position statement.
there you go.
Yeah.
I have a motion. Lowell, you feel up to it?
Sure, I so move.
All right.
No way.
Second, RJ. All right, all in favor of sending this letter, and we'll stop by to sign the paper?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Are you opposed? Okay, so passed.
Sometimes.
I'm going to abstain from that.
Oh, that's nice.
You're gonna abstain? Oh, okay.
Because I have not seen it. So I'm not for or against
Understood.
it at this point, but
All right.
I would like to review it, and then I'm sure I'll be on board.
All right, that's fine. No, that's a reasonable thing, Ben. I think it's in the packet, so. if
Page
you have-
67 on the packet.
If
Okay.
you have an opportunity,
Did you get to page 67?
I'll review it right away.
It's just because of the audit.
oh, yeah, it's yours.
I get it.
Oh, this is yours.
That's mine.
It's yours.
Giving my stuff away. All right, thank you for that.
Thanks, Lowell.
I'll do that. Okay, on both pages, okay.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that.
All right. Okay, there's some open meeting law updates from the state. Tracy?
Yes, this is, I'm just gonna give you a quick update. We won't take any action on this until next month, but with the new state budget, there is some stipulation that public bodies can have hybrid meetings. And so there's some actions that this body is gonna have to take to allow that to happen. The deadline to do that is the day of our next meeting, so we'll be just in time. And basically what will have to happen is, regardless, there will have to be a quorum of people on the board in person, and then additional people can join remotely and have the option to vote. I don't see why it would happen with this group. You can have multiple physical locations, and as long as a quorum is available in those multiple locations, that's fine. The key is just that the quorum has to be available to the public in person. It can only happen under extenuating circumstances or extreme circumstances, and it's up to the board to define what that means. So you can say, I have a childcare issue is a circumstance that allows remote participation. To this point, they have not given any guidelines for that. So what we'll just need to do is outline what the board feels comfortable qualifying as a extenuating circumstance, and pass that into a policy or pass a resolution for that policy. So working with Harris Beach, they're creating these resolutions for all sorts of IDAs across the state. So I'll be working with them to get a resolution set for our next meeting. And at that meeting, I'll put together a list of things based on Harris Beach's recommendation and what I think is reasonable, and then bring that to the group. We can discuss that at the meeting, finalize it and vote on it, and then we'll be set to continue having hybrid meetings into the future. So, just a heads up that you'll see that.
It's all good. All right, so that'll be, you'll hopefully Harris Beach will have that resolution together for us a few days at least before the vote, and then we'll get that in. All right, we're going to go to an executive session then. It's not on the agenda, but we just wanted to do this very quickly. So why don't you take it? And that's to discuss, you want it, I don't have that phrase in front of me
It's
here.
to discuss the proposed sale or lease of real property.
Yeah, there you go. All right,
And so-
Ben, stay on the line.
I'm sorry, what was the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Well, okay,
Second.
second, all right, good.
Laws.
We're on, we're live. Any other unfinished business to discuss before we go on our brief tour of the property here?
Do the 7 steps to perfection that I wrote some other time. You can do that. after the meeting.
Your list,
Yeah.
that was part of the, yeah, well, actually, if you want to do that?
I don't know. But
I was thinking that was part of the marketing thing myself.
Okay. let's do
Where is
that
it?
another
Where-
time.
where is it? It's here.
Yeah, That's fine.
Well, there
I
might,
don't- I don't care. I just did it quickly.
I wasn't sure how long the audit presentation was gonna take, so I tried to.
I'm fine.
we can, I mean, this is just new business, it's part of the marketing thing. There's just some things, and this was in the packet. These are the goals that we'll put down. And this comes from a discussion we had in the fall with Sage
Sage
primarily.
just
was-
asked if anyone would do this, and I tried to hide, but she got me. And so I wrote this up in a couple of hours. at
And
home.
some of the things,
I got it.
why don't you read it? We can
Right,
introduce
and then
this.
you can think
this-
about
this
it.
New business thing.
Okay. This first one sounds like some bureaucrat wrote it, but it was for me, so I'll try it. Identify the attributes of a successful, diverse and growing small city like Geneva. Consider why we live here, why we chose to move here, and why a business owner would want to relocate or build here. This came from me at the time. I'd been here just 2 years, and I'm thinking, why did I come here? So I addressed that for a business owner. And number two, which kind of came to mind as some more things that we could do. Take care of and pay attention to existing businesses, make a contact list of retail, commercial, and industrial companies within city limits, assign 10 plus or minus of those contacts to each board member per quarter. Sorry, guys, if you're already busy. That could help. The intent is to make contact either by phone or in person to ask how's business, to know about the programs we offer. Have you been able to add staff in the last year? And see below. Then publish a welcome guide. I think this before we do too. Publish a welcome guide with all the programs available through the Chamber of Commerce, the guide, and reference it during calls and face-to-face conference to the top. And we should become available or aware of everything that we offer so that when we meet face-to-face, they say, what about this? Can we do a tax break there? Or if I buy stuff, tax break, things we should know. Map the developable parcels. This is interesting. Number 4. People nodded their heads at the meeting, utilizing tax maps, aerials, and topography lists its zone and what can be built there for the master plan. Potential student member. I met yesterday with an architect that teaches at she lives on the corner from me. Really nice gal. Gabrielle. And her husband, who's a contractor. And I talked about it.
That never came to fruition because we didn't have anyone to maintain it. And maybe this new person that we're talking about
Maybe they could do that.
would do it, but
That would be maybe their base.
absolutely. And that's what I kind of took this to be, is this almost is an employment guide, or, that these are things that we think this new person could do, although with help from an intern and all of those.
I would be happy to do like number 2. I would do my share of number 2.
Sure.
Because I got time. Meet with known commercial real estate agencies to update them.
There never came to fruition because we didn't have anyone to maintain it.
Oh, no.
And maybe this new person that we're talking about
Maybe they could do that.
would do it,
That
but
would be their.
Sorry.
Is that weird?
Playback. That was you.
That was you.
You should just go.
Sound like an announcer. Commercial announcer.
Was a glitch in the matrix.
Nice voice though. Then they got meet with known commercial real estate agencies to update them and to encourage clients to consider the city first. if an owner of multifamily restaurant or retail space completes a substantial improvement, I always like this, and I suggested it where I used to live. I offered to do it. You know, I would just put up $500 or something, or a big trophy, and then take people on a tour of what they just did. I got two of them in my neighborhood. The apartments that they're making are beautiful. They're just incredible restorations of historic buildings, and I'm really impressed because they show me, because I'm a neighbor and I'm an engineer, so they let me with questions. But anyway, I think if we would identify who's doing a great job, then give them an award. And get them on social media, get the newspaper there, take a photo, show people.
Be nice to get some good news in the paper.
Yeah, I just thought this was great, and I got excited about it. So then this is my own little thing, work with block clubs to help city staff maintain parks and streetscapes. Only Park, I had to ask 4 times to get it mowed, and I said, by the way, you're gonna have to bail this time, because the grass was a foot long. They just mowed it yesterday. Then I weed whip it on the outside, so I pick up trash. So I tell you, parks are so important, and streetscapes are so important. And if you drive in, especially people are going to invest here, or
And that was something that was brought up in the marketing meeting about having someone responsible for the landscaping in the city.
yeah, or yeah, or just assign certain people to certain areas, as employees. If they live in an area, have them maintain it.
Well, I think these are all good goals. Thanks for working on them.
Okay.
And I think it is a lot of this, that's why I think it was introduced at the marketing meeting, because there are things that we can do, but as you point out, there's a few things that we can do as a group. We don't have to do it with the other groups. I mean, there's really no reason why we can't do it. All right, thank you. Thank
That's
you.
it.
Okay, any other unfinished business, new business? Ben, you have any comments?
No, I'll review that document and then I'll email the board with my vote. And I'm sorry for the little one. Like I said, I'm stuck home with her. We're not feeling good.
All right, very good. Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Let's go.